Hey, hey.
Hey, good evening, folks. Good evening, Drac. How you doing, dude? We're dancing on the graves of our enemies, aren't we?
Absolutely. Man, I feel like I haven't seen you in a couple weeks almost. It's you know,
That's right, dude. It has been a while, dude. It has been a while. I was thinking right before this, actually. It feels like it's been a while since I've been on my own damn show, but it was really just because I did those solo episodes, so it just didn't feel the same, you know?
yeah. Yeah, you did a couple solo, I did one solo, and then everybody got back from Singapore. There are still people coming like slowly trickling in from Singapore. I don't know who decided to go to Singapore for 17 days or whatever, but
Yeah, Singapore is fucking awesome. I'll tell you that. So I would want to stay there for 17 days. But I also don't, yeah, similarly, I don't know. I don't know what's happening over there. Personally, I got held over in Taiwan for a bit, Drac. Can you believe that? I was in
man, yeah, I've heard that's something else about that whole area is like apparently it's nothing to these airports to just be like, no, you're now leaving tomorrow.
yeah, that's what happened to me. They were literally delayed my flight like 14 hours. Maybe that's what's happened to a lot of people. I don't know. Hopefully, you guys made it all back safe from Singapore, all right, if you did go. And if you didn't go, I'll tell you all about it later. We can talk about it.
Yeah, man, you were hosting the summit out there. Lots of video of you floating around.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Be sure to share all the ones where I'm looking good, not the ones where I'm like this, you know? 'Cause there's a couple of them.
You were
Yeah,
like, you were like when they send the guy to like Afghanistan with like the fucking like flak vest. You were like on the ground, like writing threads and like posting videos and photos, and it was
yeah, I was
like
like an embedded journalist.
you were like the guy on the ground out there.
Yeah, I was the embedded journalist. I was there to capture any war crimes that might be committed. Thankfully, nothing too brutal. Although obviously big news. I think he talked about it last week already, but CEO replacement. I mean, that was huge, huge news right at the top of the summit. And I think like after that, it's kind of hard because it's such a big event. It kind of like overshadows everything else. But there was a lot of other cool stuff that they talked about. Maybe not announced, but like that they had speakers and were talking about people about these things kind of, I think, implies to me the direction they're going a little bit more. Specifically with like 21 shares. And I think they had one of the market makers. I don't want to say Wintermute. I don't think it was Wintermute, but they had a market maker on. Um, those are like I love those because those are like really interesting, like getting into the mechanics of how this stuff works. Learn how ETF shares are issued. You know about that, Drek?
A little bit, just a little bit, but
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, it says GSR. Yep,
Louis
they were
was
there.
there too. Oh yeah, Louis was there too, if I remember.
Yeah, this guy was also there.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
like planned the whole thing.
yeah. But no, it was super interesting because like I'll tell you guys this. I'm allowed to say this kind of stuff because I'm not in the org. I'll say this. That seemed to be like the thing to actually like immediately pump price because it's like immediate buy pressure. ETF's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more stable, and but also really interesting. If you guys don't know, there's a lot of parties involved in an ETF issuing shares. It's not as simple as like we have so many tokens, we have so many shares, we need to go buy more. There's like another guy involved. It's like a authorized purchaser or some shit. And he
There's
comes
always
in,
another guy.
you tell that other guy, and then he's like, okay, who's your custodian? Then he talks to that guy, buys it, gives it to that guy. Then that guy tells you the ETF, and then you issue shares. Crazy shit, dude.
Well, it sounds like you're an expert now, though. So
Yeah.
you
So
got it
if
down.
anyone's hiring Wall Street, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, anything, let me know.
Bring this guy on. Consultant. Consult your whole process.
I'll consult the whole process up to down. I'll tell you how to make it work. But yeah, let's start with the top, dude. What we got first up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Luis also is here saying that all the talks are going up. I said this on like last GNSONIC that yeah, I knew there was a lot of media and video stuff, and it's all been getting cut up. So for people that were asking about like, oh, is there a live stream? I had said on the last episode like, you know, there's just not like great ROI on like live streaming these events. It's kind of like it's a lot of work and a lot of
Money.
effort for like maybe only a handful of people to to like watch it live when like there'll be tons of video, tons of media all the juicy stuff will get cut up, easy to digest. So a lot of that's coming. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I had a little sneak peek, I guess you would say. It was Mitch's speech he gave right after they gave him the nod for CEO, but it's like 5 minutes. So I don't know. Maybe we'll play it towards the end. I don't know if like anyone wants to sit through that right this second.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. I recommend if we play it at the end, stick around, guys, because it's pretty good stuff. It'll give you some,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Like an idea for the direction. Because, obviously what he like just started, like he like just got hired. This is a pretty big undertaking. So it's going to take a little while for you guys to get to, the super chewy, like we're doing this initiative tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's what, exactly a week right now, or I guess maybe maybe a little more than a week. But yeah, I mean, people are still filing in from Singapore, but there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about very, very soon.
Mike, I don't know if you're getting rich or what. I know I am. Rich in soul, brother.
We getting rich or what? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? That the government is shut down. Everybody, your usual doomer stuff that the run's over, everything's over, but studying numbers and everything, I gotta say, wasn't too afraid, honestly. We had a run up, we got a pullback. I expect a lot more volatility during this period because why wouldn't there be? It's open season basically right now.
So, like, sentiment wise, one, I want to give myself kudos, pat myself on the back for the second time because I retweeted it after the government shutdown. We had green only after the government shutdown, exactly as I predicted. Okay. Because it doesn't matter, dude. All right. It doesn't matter what they're doing unless they're spending money at this point. Okay. So, yeah, I think the bigger thing right now that's good. I mean, one, definitely in for a lot of volatility because it's like we're up in the air, dude. I feel like there's like the longest like 3-point jumper of all time. The ball is just floating in the air for like months at this point. We have no idea. Like this is like uncharted economic territory is what it feels like. But I think the biggest thing that's caused a lot of this because today I feel like there's been like a strong undercurrent of bearishness, and I feel like one of the stronger that like that 4chan post. Ironically, it's ironic the omens and the superstitions that get in people's head.
Yeah, I mean, didn't that post the post he's talking about? Maybe we have it somewhere or I can find it. But yeah, basically there was a guy that mapped out, I guess, the last however many cycles and showed that each cycle topped. It was like an alternating amount of days. It was like either 700 something or like 1,000 something. And he said the cycle top will be October 6th, which if you recall, since that was like a day or two ago, everything was ripping. And then today we had a huge pullback. So it was kind of wild that, there are people that are subscribing to this where they're like, pack it up, cycle's over.
Yeah. I think it's a good example of kind of like where like the markets are all, what do you call it, psychological, and we're all superstitious, whether or not we want to admit it or not, right? So I think people are letting this get in their heads a little too much. But I will say that I did run the numbers, and he was largely right. Like if we look at here, like January 14th, all-time low, 171. About the exact time he predicted, all-time high, all-time low, all-time high, all-time low. So I mean, hopefully he's wrong here. I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
Yeah, Miner says the rate cuts are still coming. And yeah, I talked to my quant. He's dialing in real quick.
Oh no. Somebody's short.
BSC network itself has just been like having this crazy run. It's just like
one big mistake, dude. If Trump really wanted to dominate the crypto industry, he should have never released the Emperor, dude. Emperor CZ, dude. It's unbelievable. CZ's been running this place. Ever since CZ's come out, he's like, I don't know if you probably don't watch it, but anyone out there watch One Piece? He's like Gold Roger, dude. CZ's come out and he's been like, there's the One Piece out there. People are going berserk for it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the show where I was like, if we want to get into like a little bit of like conspiracy theory, because I love conspiracy theories, right? I've formulated my own conspiracy theory that, CZ's been out of the can for over a year now. So I feel like something has changed in his status. Maybe he's not being, maybe he knows he's no longer going to be monitored the way that he was supposed to be. They gave him all these stipulations about, you can't be the CEO of a company for this many years. You can't do this, you can't do that. But it's the only thing I can think of is that he knows a status change is coming or something, because dude is straight up like activated. Like,
Yeah.
and I think what's throwing people for a loop is that it's because we haven't had this in a while. This is like the old school. This is like, 2021, 2022 SBF, CZ. This is like the old ways. You know what I mean? This is like he's just completely activated though, like out of nowhere, it feels like.
Oh yeah, dude. He's like 2012 Gucci Mane or something, dude. He just came out of prison. He just got straight to fucking work, is what it feels like. I mean, he's out for like a year, but he must have been plotting in there this whole time. He's pulling it all together.
He was like
loving it.
scribbling his stuff on like the prison wall with a fork.
Yeah, yeah. He was designing tokenomic schemes and all. Like, no, I mean, I think it's kind of. I agree. It's kind of bullish. It's a little bit. It's a little bit. If you wanted to be like really negative, be like, oh, he's just trying to get a last squeeze out. Maybe he sees a lot of opportunity for a little last squeeze of the juice. But I honestly think if this is like a return to, I don't know, is it bad or is it good if we have like these rock stars coming back and just kind of like conducting the markets? I kind of like it. It's kind of fun.
I think it just gives you like that old feeling. You know what I mean? Like where it was just like you wake up. I mean, granted, I say this, I have like no skin in the game on BSC. I did get it. I did get a bag of Aster really early, and that was nice, but I'm already way out of that. But it's like, yeah, it just has that feeling of like, yeah, like we were saying, it's just like, haven't had that feeling in a while where you wake up and you're like, oh, that went up 20-30% today. Oh, I woke up again. Now it's up another 30-40%, and it's like every day you wake up and it's just like new crime candle. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it feels like a little energy, you know what I mean? A little jolt. So it's, I'm enjoying watching it from the sidelines.
Yeah, it is quite enjoyable. I like seeing people get upset about it. I've seen like a lot of Solana people getting upset about it. It gives me flashbacks, like,
yeah, the Solana people are upset because, he's, of course you have the Aster thing going on, but he's also like very subtly been criming a couple memes. So there's been a couple memes that have been running, all kinds of stuff's running over there. I mean, I pulled up DeFi Llama because, right now TVL is 9 billion. Tall order to overtake Solana, but, not totally out of, who knows what's coming next. It's not totally like insane to imagine, but what's funny about BSC is like, it was like such an early chain that like, if you go there, like, dude, gas is not cheap there. Like it is still like you're in, 2021, 2020. I mean, it's not like conducting on pretty much any other like top 20 chain. I mean, it's like, it is like antiquated. It's, I mean, as a chain, I don't think there's, I don't know. I mean, the tech wise, there's not a lot to really talk about, but yeah, it's been entertaining.
If we really wanted to go into like the Aster versus Avantis versus like these other perp dexes, it could get pretty nasty because a lot of people said it like a lot cleaner than we have, in that it is an older chain. It's slower, it's more expensive, and just a lot of it just is not. It reminds me, like I haven't really gone on a BSC because I feel like I already missed the boat. I don't want to. I don't speak Chinese well enough yet. I'm learning. I'm deciphering the memes as I do them, but it's giving me some ideas. Maybe I should launch one over there. But no. The kind of outdatedness. I had an experience similar in that when this whole like perp dex thing really started heating up, I was like, I'll take a bet on Justin Sun's Tron one. I haven't used Tron in like, I don't know, too long. A very, 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 very long time. That shit was like using like a 98 website, like a Windows 98 website, dude. Like it's mostly in rich text format. Like,
yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's just everybody's just trying to kind of get a piece of the pie. But, I talked about this in depth last episode that, obviously for Flying Tulip, that's exciting news. That's great news, because Everybody's fighting. It's basically everybody wants a club order book perp dex. And, we're about to get an insane piece of tech in that field. So, I mean, not bad timing. Andre's timed the market once again.
Yeah, maybe he's a market genius, dude. A big component of Flying Tulip kind of depends on that as well. Maybe not like timing the market so much, but that experience with DeFi. We want to talk about Flying Tulip now. I got a lot to say about it, but maybe we should talk a little bit about like more broad stuff. Just one last thing. I kind of wanted to talk about, get your opinion on the Robinhood CEO saying they have figured out real estate tokenization, real world asset tokenization. He said this at Token, I believe. I've got a little video to play.
Yeah.
Check this, folks.
And I think real estate's a big opportunity. I think it's smart that they're aggressively pursuing that because everyone wants access to high quality real estate, particularly the mass market.
But isn't it true real estate is actually more complex? I mean, they tried this before. It hasn't really worked.
It has some similarities to a private company, actually. If you think about what a real estate investment looks like, you create a corporation. Using that corporation, you acquire some assets. It has some costs, which you want to minimize as much as possible. Maintenance. It has revenues like rent, receivables, or depending on how you use it. So if you can tokenize a private company, that same technology can actually be used to tokenize real estate, be it residential, commercial. And yeah, I think we figured out how to do it. It's just a question of regulation and what the right products are for different groups of customers.
So what do you think about that, dude? Are you excited about them tokenizing the real estate market, tokenizing houses and clubs, nightclubs and fields and farms or whatever?
I don't know, because I'm sure it's on the horizon eventually. And by that horizon, I mean, I can't really see that actually being like done correctly and useful for like a while. But yeah, I get the sentiment. And I mean, we've seen it on chain a few times over the years. People have given it a crack. There was actually a stable token. It was I'm not going to try to remember the name, but USR, USDTR.
Waves or something like that. It had like USD. Yeah, I know what you mean. It did all right, and then it depegged really badly.
Yeah. So basically, what their whole thing, like their whole thing was that their treasury was basically like tokenized real estate. And yeah, it did have a really bad depeg and some other stuff, but that's not necessarily the greatest example. But I just think that sure, you could tokenize a company's equity, you could tokenize real estate, but there's so many like rails that have to be in place, because it's like, okay, who decides when it sells? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I get the tokenized idea of it just being like, yeah, it's just an investment and you have an amount of tokens and that represents your piece of the investment. But I don't know if like crowdsourcing every single thing like that makes sense. I don't know.
I was thinking like this already exists as like a REIT, a real estate investment trust or whatever. I don't think that's the actual term, but it's REIT, where you can purchase shares of companies that manage properties. So you already have exposure. And like, that's like, to me, that's the only way that makes sense with the custodianship. Cause like you said, like who's responsible for maintenance, like finding contractors to perform the maintenance, when maintenance needs to be done, when we need to remodel, when we need to sell, all that stuff. It'd make more sense to have a business and then maybe wrap that in a token. I don't think it's going to be like, one of the questions we got with this was like, is this going to make it so like more people own real estate? I don't think so. I mean, like possibly depending on how they do this, but it's not going to be like, it's going to make it easier for me to buy a house because they're tokenized and I can live in that house. It's probably not even going to make it that much easier for you to get like real estate in your portfolio. If you have a 401k, you already have real estate in your portfolio probably.
Yeah. And we were discussing that before the show as well, how like, whether you know it or not, it's like usually there's at least one, real estate fund that's, a different, different level of whether it's aggressive or conservative, but you're most likely invested in some kind of real estate fund.
Yeah, this is I think Stinky. Stinky's. I'm kind of bearish on it because this is what I think of. Is I think of people doing this kind of stuff. 100x leverage shitcoins to your house NFT as collateral.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it was getting people into more trouble. But
Yeah, I mean, I think still talking about Stinky, I think this point actually makes more sense. Is should it be a ledger like a blockchain? Yes, because blockchain has shown that it will be insanely useful for records and
yeah,
voting and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, a token. It's funny that you mentioned a house NFT because just a little war story here. I worked on a project and it was kind of sad actually. I helped develop a project. It was right when the bear market was starting though. So it was like spring 2022. I got kind of like asked to, I got onboarded and these guys were doing exactly that. They bought a bunch of islands that were like cheap islands, cheap as in, compared to other islands. It was like a bunch of crap islands in like somewhere in the, Caribbean or whatever. One of the islands was actually the Fire Island from the Fire documentary.
no way.
but yeah, they had worked on this for years because they had all of the legal stuff worked out. And yeah, it was literally like you would buy an NFT and then it's like, now I own this island, and it included a house they built for you. I mean, when you think about it, like total peak bull run shit that probably didn't need to exist, but these poor bastards spent millions on this project. But yeah, it was just kind of like they throw this huge party to like launch it, and nobody buys anything.
That island is cursed.
And nobody buys anything. I think they had like 15 properties. Nobody buys anything because, like I said, it's like you have all these headaches. You're like, well, so what do I do with the banks? What do I do with this? What do I do with that? So it's like, honestly, with Robinhood, it's probably more so that he's setting this up so that they can like, drop a Robinhood token or something. Probably more so than he cares about real estate or whatever. But, it's funny because this ties into, I was reading a good post today and it was about Coinbase and the base token. Because somebody said it's going to probably have to be really unique because they're going to have to make the base token somehow seen as useful or valuable to stockholders because base is so inherently tied into Coinbase, and they're only mixing more, like, you know what I mean? Like Coinbase is integrating where a lot of their swaps are actually going to be like on chain instead of like in their, their wallets and stuff. And yeah, so I mean, I wonder if that's the next step though, is you're a company, you're already publicly traded, right? You want a token because there's way more money in the token than probably your stocks if you do it right. If you have $1 billion market cap token or whatever. So it's like we are like entering an interesting era. What I would be curious to see I would be curious to see like more companies. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, you start seeing companies finding ways to launch tokens.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, some guy here has, you can have a token where percent of the rental portfolio or sale. I think what he means is like a percent of the sales or the rent goes to the token, which tying to your idea of like somehow tying it to a stock, right? Like some kind of dividend or some sort of, I don't know, payout, staking. I don't know. There's some kind of, it's a new financial primitive that is now being fully incorporated into like traditional finance. So what kind of wizardry they do with it is kind of up in the air at this point, because I mean, it was illegal for a long time to say, but in a lot of minds, I think it was analogous to a stock for most people, a token. And so now they are trying to like, now that it's a little bit more clear, what the difference is between the two, they're trying to figure out like, what can I do with this that's different than existing financial instruments, right?
Yeah.
So I think the granularity, people are right. Like the programmed in functions for some tokens could make some of these things more interesting and useful. I'm interested to see, but I just want to point out too, I pulled up, because I did a little research. I looked up Robinhood. They released a PB, or their Robinhood's like official stance on like tokenization, like their thesis, their justification of their stockholders. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of the bullet points here, because I think you're right. Like obviously they want to launch their own token.
It's like
And
having
here-
a second. It's like having a fucking second stock release.
Yeah. So like here's their second IPO, right? Like this is their essential points here is liquidity is great because for tokenization, because you can enhance liquidity by converting traditionally illiquid RWAs into digitally traded things, right? Which is like, I mean, stocks also do that. Like not just stocks, but there's a bunch of financial instruments that create liquidity for illiquid assets, like, you know, the mortgage like the mortgage crisis we all had. That was all the result of essentially tokenization in a way of mortgages. Efficiency. This is the only one this is a big one for me. Obviously, smart contracts make transactions more efficient. Transparency, also a big one. Fractionalization, right? That's another one that people kind of get hyped on for a lot of these real world assets. Like I can't buy a Van Gogh, but maybe I'll buy like a percentage of one.
Yeah.
Similar, I've seen a lot of products like this in traditional finance already. There was like an app that let you do that, like buy fine art, buy fine wine, but like a percentage of it. So that's not really differentiating for me. Financial inclusion, that's kind of nice. Like opening up these things maybe to investors that wouldn't have had access to it. But then we have to ask ourselves, why didn't these kinds of investors have access to these instruments traditionally? It's often not because they just want to keep you poor. It's often because, you know, it's not good to be gambling your $100, the only $100 you have on tokenized real estate. And the final one here that I want to say are 24/7 trading, faster settlement. I think that's good. I think that can make for better markets. I mean, there's still an argument to be made, I think, about that. And then global reach. Global reach is crazy to me because like what is this? Like I distilled this down to like this. I can finally take a loan for $10,000 to purchase a 0.1% share in the profits of an apartment complex in Mongolia. That seems to be like the end goal for tokenized real estate. And it's like, I get that's pretty cool, I guess. Yeah. But there's a lot of reasons why a lot of the real world assets are not accessible to global markets, right? People in America complain about this all the time about like wealthy Chinese, wealthy Russians, wealthy Saudis coming to our cities, like big cities, New York, LA, and buying very expensive apartments and driving real estate up. Mm-hmm. So this seems like it would just make it 10 billion times worse. But I don't know. Excited to see how it develops.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like I said, it's like you have to. I mean, there's interesting pros about it, but then it's also like cool, like, you know, you own this with like 1,000 people, and then it's like, yeah, how do you divvy up, you know, when to sell, when to do maintenance, but you know, like I said, in me being skeptical, like I said, I think what we're going to see is just that, you know, like I said, Coinbase and Base, Robinhood, companies that want to have a token badly, because like I said, it's a second IPO basically. It's free money. I don't know. Yeah, it's like I said, I'm curious to see. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things right now between the, you know, a lot of the ETFs and the DATs and, you know, some of this other stuff where it's like there's a lot of legislation that probably has to get figured out, and it's probably going to take a while to get sorted out. So I think you're going to like you're going to see like this whole other marketplace of things like this where it's like half financial instrument, half crypto exposure.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're going to see like some weird hybridization stuff happen in the interim, but I think it's still super freaking bullish. I think it's cool. I think despite my reservations, I do agree with, I think, the general population that it's really cool to tokenize a lot of shit and to see where it goes. I just word of caution to everybody out there, you know?
Well, we got a guest in the studio.
Oh, perfect. Because we were just about to talk about.
Look who it is.
Yo.
Assistant. Man. Hello, assistant.
No, I was just listening. I wanted to chime in. You guys are talking about the Coinbase token. Yeah, I was talking to a lot of people about it when I was in Singapore, and like it's pretty interesting because you've never really seen this happen before, where you have like basically people who were like the traditional way of people having interest in a company would be like the regular route, right? It's like
Yeah.
IPO, buy the stock, whatever, to have exposure. But you have limitations with who can buy the stock, right? So like you might need to be an accredited
Yeah.
investor to get into like some type of IPO type of situation, or maybe you need to have a brokerage account set up. Just like it's pretty interesting that you can essentially buy a stock like of like something of this magnitude if it's the tokenized version,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of criticism about it, basically saying that like they think shareholders will sue and
Hmm.
say like unless you get it's kind of funny, like it's actually hilarious if you think about it, because like now shareholders of coin are like, are you going to give us an airdrop of base, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean,
it's
dude.
Fair
it's gone
question,
full
right?
circle.
Like, are you going to swap us out as stakeholders, basically? Like, who
I
who
mean,
who is the profit for? If is it the stockholders or is it the token holders?
I think it gets interesting when it gets to the point of like maybe it is a legal issue because you're technically, I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be a decently large vampire attack on that if that were to happen. There would be a lot of insiders knowing that it would happen. So you'd probably
Mhm.
see a lot of people start exiting their coin stock like early. And
Mhm.
then those same people would pivot to buy the token on launch, right? Because then like you would be at a significant advantage if you know that there's going to be like a vampire attack and all of the liquidity is just going to get sucked out and go into like this base token. I just find it hilarious also that the stock is called coin and like the ticker for the token will actually most likely be called base. So it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of
Coinbase.
Like
but
playing. Yeah.
I think if one of the things that I heard is like it would be pretty funny if they end up needing to give like the opposite of tokenized stock, but like stockized tokens. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, right? Like
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know what the word is, but like basically set tell because if you look at it the other way around, right? Like if you were to do like an IPO, like the reverse, no, not an IPO, but if you were to launch a stock and it was already a token, maybe you would have to tell all your token holders like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna do an airdrop. We're gonna give you like your equity, but like a tokenized version or something. So maybe they would need
Yeah.
to do it on the other side and give those people like some type of like dividend, but it's like a wrapper for a token. I don't know. I'm not too
Yeah.
familiar, but it'd be interesting.
I mean, I think that's like the problem is it's like, yeah, it's just like
This guy's
people,
glitching out over there.
I think like people haven't thought about that like off the jump is like, like you said, I mean, there could be people that really big shareholders, they might just be like, we're just going to sue you. Like, because it's like, how does that work that you're going to have a second stock basically, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's even funny that, I mean, everybody knew that they were always full of it when they were like, there will never be a base token.
In their defense, there was also like a lot of regulatory scrutiny. So like that climate has changed a lot
Yeah.
because I mean, they're not the only people. Like even if you look at, I mean, this is just off the top of my head, but like I think Robinhood will probably have a hood token. I
Hmm.
think that like this is gonna happen with more people, but even like MetaMask is owned by Consensus, which is like a big like a standard tech company, right? Like I don't think MetaMask would ever launch a token if it wasn't for the new administration. Like think about it. Like
Hmm.
why didn't MetaMask launch a token like forever ago?
Yeah.
What is the reasoning?
Yeah. There was definitely like some better windows
I don't
where,
even think it's a good time for them to launch a token, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
I think also like launching a token now is all about revenue. Like the new narrative is just like revenue. And like I know that some of these companies, like I always wonder, like if you were to launch a token, right? Like let's say MetaMask, for example, or even Coinbase, like you can say it for any type of revenue. Like what are they going to do? They're going to give the revenue of the sequencer to like token holders? Like, I don't think so. Like, what is the value proposition? It's
Yeah.
it's very difficult. And for something like MetaMask, right? Look at a company like MetaMask. They've been running for, I don't know, bro, like almost 8 years or something
Yeah.
crazy. How much money have they made from swaps? Like, they make a lot of money from the swaps in the app. Like, that's their revenue generator, right? Now, if all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we're gonna launch this token and we're gonna give like rev share of these swaps," like why would they do that? The
Yeah.
only way that they would do that is if like the token upside of them being able to sell their token is greater than the revenue that they would make from the swaps.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. It's very true. I mean, it's like, yeah, in that case, I'm like really surprised they're even bothering with that right now. I mean, it just,
You're gonna see so many people try and jump on the tokenization like trend, but I really think that they underestimate. I mean, we see it like I mean, Phantom Sonic has had a token for many years. It's not easy to have a token, like, there's a lot that's involved in it, and I think that a lot of those people, they're probably just jumping on, like, the hype.
oh yeah. And they don't know what they're in for yet.
Yeah, yeah, it gets pretty interesting, especially when, like, the if you're, like, a Tesla stockholder, right? There's only, like, 2 places for you to really vocalize your opinion. It's like if you go to that annual stock shareholder meeting that they have, or like you're on some like Reddit forum. Like that's basically it. But like once you start tokenizing and it's more of an international user base that has like very easy access to the tokens, like it becomes way, way, way more like way larger of like a surface area to cover because now it's not just like focus on the product. It's like focus on the community, focus on the revenue, focus on events, focus on like it brings another layer of complexity that I don't know if these people are ready for that.
I think you're right that it brings a whole nother level of complexity, difficulty, uncertainty also around like what you can actually do with it. And it kind of makes me think like going back to that accredited investor rule, like one of the reasons people like these tokenized assets and they want them is because they can skirt that, right? Like saying I can get into an IPO technically, like in a way that I wouldn't be able to before. But the question is, do we all think that the accredited investor rule exists exclusively to fuck you over? Like, is that why we think it exists? I think it's a
Well,
little complicated than that. It probably has something to do with balancing like the interests of like actual and like investors that know what they're getting into and people that
I think there's
like
some like
don't fully.
there's legal precedent for that at some point, like where people were getting scammed. I don't know the exact like timing of this, but there's definitely a stage in like the U.S. economy or the U.S. like capital markets where people were getting scammed.
Mhm.
And they basically said like, hey, you need to start giving like this test so that you can have more educated people because then you'll have less like
Yeah.
complaints later, like that people know what they're getting themselves into. I think they accredited investor thing also is kind of like it's kind of funny. It's like an IQ test of sorts
Yeah.
where it's like, do you know what you're getting yourself into? But that's one of the things that honestly got me into crypto originally was like, I remember at some point, maybe 10 years ago, like seeing or hearing about stocks that like were doing huge multiples post IPO, right? So like you remember you would hear like, oh, like did you see this stock? Like it did its IPO and it like blew up. And then you're kind of always like, well, how the hell do I get in before the IPO? It's like is the opportunity for me to get into something before the explosion? And like that's what I kind of like about crypto, and that's what attracted me to is that you can have exposure to different tokens, different brands, different well now it's like different cults, right? Like you can have exposure to all these different things and like be on a level playing field as anyone else at like a TGE or something. And I mean, I'll just mention this because it's I don't know if you guys talked about it, but that's why like Flying Tulip is really cool to me because everyone gets in at the same valuation, right? And it's like tokens are fully liquid.
Mhm.
Everyone gets in same valuation. Team can't dump tokens. It's just it reminds me of like, damn, this is like really fair. This is probably the most fair that it can get. And even in a traditional IPO, like you don't have a chance. Like, let's say, for example, you heard of like this really cool company and you're like, oh, this gonna be the future, like nuclear reactors, like clean energy. You can't invest in that company.
Yeah. I used to work with guys like right before 2021, like 2019, 2020, that were kind of getting into crypto, but they were also, like you were saying, they were scouting IPOs. What these two guys would do is they would take like the public listings, like we're talking like 1,000 companies that are going to be like debuting in this quarter, and they would go home and like split it up and like have like little homework parties where they're going line by line on each company. Like, what does it do? Do we do we
Yeah,
think
but
it's going to
even if that's the case and you find like one of those that's gonna be a home run, right? Like,
But
let's
you
say
also
for that's the same
like
thing in crypto. Like, you can look at all these projects that are gonna TG, and you can go line by line and see like, "Oh, I'm bullish on this one, I'm bullish on that one." But, like, the only difference is that, like, you can get into these things at a pretty, like, decent valuation,
Mhm.
um, and have, like, very easily just like, you can do it yourself. You don't need to get a broker and, like, it's just so much easier to have the ability to, like, inject capital in something. But, like,
Mhm.
in the IPO like, in the IPO era, like, I remember a couple of years ago, was really hot was, like, you were seeing a lot of, like, battery manufacturers for, like, electric cars, and everyone's like, "Oh, everyone's gonna be driving an electric car. It's crazy, like, you need to get these stocks. You need to, like, buy these cobalt mine stocks and,
Yeah.
like, get in on all this." It's like, you can't even buy those things until they're really live, and then by the time they're live, you already feel like you, like, missed out, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I'm just open to the whole idea of, like, giving people the advantage to buy something at, like, a decent valuation before it's, like, completely destroyed by, like, the tycoons of the TradFi.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's full circle in a way, I guess, because, Andre's credited with kind of creating the original fair launch,
Yeah.
back with Yearn and everything. And it's like,
He
yeah, I
calls
mean,
this one the fairer launch, which I find,
fair,
like, hilarious.
yeah, I mean, I've said it before where it's just like the more I like read about it, the more info that gets released, like just more and more bullish on it. Just because, yeah, especially the launch mechanism, it's just like it's the valuation is fair. Anybody could get in. There's tons of room in it. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see it fill up pretty fast, but
I
I
think
don't
so.
think people have had a shot at like something like this in a long time.
It's
Well,
kind of
have.
like
They've had a shot
it's
at something, but they don't have the downside protection, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the bigger things that I think is that, like, I mean, if you really wanna like, there's so many things that you can invest in and, like, yes, it could have really big upside, but people get caught up in the upside, and they don't think about, like I mean, I'll just give you one example because it's just fresh on my mind. I was looking at it recently. If you go look at the 00 launch, 2Z, they had 28% of their supply to the market maker. Like, it's in their
Whoa.
docs. Like 28%. So, like, if you're buying that token on the market, like, at the launch, I mean, yeah, maybe the token has really significant upside, sure, but, like, you're already at a disadvantage. Like, you're trading against Jump, who are
Mhm.
the best.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a nightmare, right? Like, and that's why it's like the problem in crypto is still kind of there, where these people can still get like IPO dumped on, basically. But I want to talk a little bit more about Flying Tulip because you guys are all of this conversation kind of blends very nicely with it, in that a lot of the concerns are kind of being addressed, right? In terms of like one, the revenue thing. We talked about it very briefly. Like, this is the revenue meta, and
Mm.
like it seems to me like the core mechanic of Flying Tulip is it is a revenue machine, and that's like what it's banking on is like can this thing make money? And if it does, we all make money. If it doesn't, no one makes the money. So the speculation aspect is keyed down quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. Look, I think that the only way to build something like this is if you've been through like extreme ups and downs of the cycle of of launching new products,
Mhm.
having products not work out as planned, right? And you kind of I would what I mean is like I would trust someone who's been through like the ringer rather than someone who's like yeah, I just graduated college and I just raised like 25 mil for this new, like, yeah, maybe they're a genius, but like the gamble that you're making is pretty significant if the person doesn't really have like that real world experience of having really built like significant code bases that have been used. Like this isn't just a guy. It's not just somebody who just had an idea one night and said, "Hey, I know if I have a buddy who works at a VC fund, I'm going to raise some capital." I think that I'm very happy that it's kind of come to this point. I think that a lot of the other protocols that have been launched over the years have kind of brought him to like this magnum opus moment, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for like the whole team. Like it's super cool. So yeah, I'm curious how it works out. I think that the tokenomics are probably the best I've ever seen.
Hell yeah. Now, Stinky asked, like, he wants to know exactly what we have read about Flying Tulip because, maybe not everyone has
I
seen
hate the
this
people
stuff.
who can't read.
Yeah, I mean, good point, dude. I just retweeted it from my main account. There's a great article from, what is this account called? Haze Flow.
Yeah, Haze Flow is fantastic.
Yeah, they kind of summed up everything. So, I mean, it's a lot. So, I just pulled out kind of my key points here. So, check out the article, get more details that
Put it
way.
in
But
Chat GPT, honestly. Like just put that whole thing and say, can you please summarize this to one paragraph? Like
so, what I want to take is their core value flow here because it's like 7 steps and it kind of explains exactly how this thing is supposed to work. So,
mm,
investors commit different types of highly liquid tokens. 1, 2, those tokens act as backing capital for Flying Tulip tokens. 3, those Flying Tulip tokens are issued alongside perpetual put options for every investor's position. That's where we're talking about where it's like completely minimized downside risk. You can always cash back out for what you put in, right? So step 4, when investors receive their Flying Tulip tokens and perpetual put options. Step 5, that invested capital is deployed into multiple DeFi protocols to farm yield. 6, that generated yield is used to buy back and burn Flying Tulip tokens, increasing token scarcity. So that's how we get this. Like I was saying, this is completely dependent on this project's ability to make money. But the yield farming is just one half of that revenue generation equation. Where is my last step here? Because there's one more step. 7, the generated yield is also used to fund different protocol expenses. That would be things like overhead and the like. So already this is like a very, very different token raise model than I think most of us have seen, right? Like
it's like
usually
it's like
I
urine, right? Like that's what makes me so bullish is that like the core mechanism of everything you just said, which is like take capital, yield farm it, and basically like bootstrap this whole app is like it's kind of just urine. Like that's what urine does. Urine is just going out farming. Aave was farming compound, all this stuff, and then taking those tokens, auto compounding it. People were doing a bunch of stuff, but like that's what it is at the base of the raise model, the raise mechanism.
Yeah, and I
now
mean,
I
then if like you're looking at the tokenomics, it's also like, you know, kind of what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, where it's like, because of this model, though, you don't have the team holding some crazy amount and constantly dumping to cover their expenses. You're not dealing with traditional emissions.
Well,
You know,
even then, you'll actually see what's released to the team because that's probably one of the biggest like scams in crypto that you see. Again, I'll just say it because we're just talking about it. But like, if you look at, I don't want to name the exact project, but if you look at a lot of these projects, like you'll see the split of the tokenomics. It'll be like 20% team, 35% ecosystem fund, and it's like that's a
mhm.
team. Like,
Yeah.
like like if it's from the TGE, then you don't really know where the tokens are at, right? At least in this case, when the tokens are kind of bought back, I mean, it'll be on chain. You can see the tokens being bought back, where they're being allocated, and then you can kind of see like this is what they're actively being split up for, I'd assume. But it's nice because most of these other chains or projects, when you see they launch, they just have so many tokens. And I mean, I can actually just send it to you because I just saw the tweet go out today. Hold on one second.
So I want to also point out, like you guys are talking about, like how the team is funded. I found it really interesting because the team has like Flying Tulip tokens allocated, but like they only get them when they burn Flying Tulip tokens through the revenue generation. So it's like a way, it's almost like the revenue is being funneled through the Flying Tulip token to pay them. But is, again, like I said, I think probably a much more like a less predatory way of handling the distribution, right? Like we have to have made money as a business for us to pay you, basically.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, actually, in a weird way.
I sent you guys over just a picture on Telegram. If you look at it, I mean, I think that's what tokenomics has evolved into. Just wait, did I send it to you guys?
Yeah, I got it. I'll throw it up here.
It's like it just kind of. I mean, again, I'm not talking trash about them, but like it just kind of it's a lot to comprehend. And I think that's starting it off by saying like, hey, look, 100% in circulation, and this is what we're using for this. This is what we're using for that. It's pretty nice. It's kind of like a reverse engineered. Like that looks really complicated to me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like
Am I crazy, or is that not like the most complicated? But
yeah, I'm like looking at it like
I'm not crazy, but like when I see non-circulating and it says team, I don't really know if that makes a lot of sense to me. Like I guess it's all vested,
yeah, I mean,
but like they're gonna circulate it if it's a team, right? They're gonna sell it.
well, the announcement that I saw with that when I read it said Meteor unveils tokenomics and the Phoenix Rising plan 100% unlock for all stakeholders at TGE. And I'm like, what are stakeholders?
Those Mercurial stakeholders and those Jupiter, those M3 stakeholders.
I don't know. I'm already confused on it. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that like I'm looking forward to just seeing like a nice tokenomics distribution. It just makes it like so much easier to track and be like, okay, this is very straightforward. There's X amount of supply. There's no inflation. It's only deflationary. You can see where the tokens are going. Revenues used for buyback, and then it's kind of straightforward. If once the machine is running, like again, it's on chain. This is what Andre is known for, is like all on chain stuff. So everyone can look at it. People can set up dashboards, see what's being bought back. People can see how many tokens are going into this foundation wallet or whatever. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Honest question: what
Are you in
impact you guys
Cyprus? Where are you?
will have? I'm in Afghanistan. What impact Flying Tulip? Yeah, beautiful country. You didn't know? Look, where's this place? Band Emir National Park.
Okay.
But what do we think Flying Tulip will have? What impact do we think Flying Tulip will have on S, i.e., eyes on the eco? Well, I mean, obviously, I think it's going to bring eyes to the ecosystem.
I think it's already started.
Yeah, it's already started. I think I don't know if it's going to have some extremely enormous like impact. I hope it does, but I think at the very least it'll suck up a lot of S off the market, right? And that pre-raise or the raise.
I'm not too sure, but I think that anyone
Project.
Anyone building on Sonic kind of gets the same level of support from our team, right? Whether it's Andre or whether it's anyone else. Like, spent a lot of time sitting down with people in Singapore, talking about things that are going on, new projects that are coming to Sonic, a bunch of ideas. So I think that at the worst case, it brings attention, like, and that's great. And any eyes on Sonic is always good. But I think that I think that Andre's been pretty straightforward in saying like this is going to be kind of cross chain. If you look at a bunch of stuff like taking assets on different chains and stuff, right? That's been communicated pretty early. So I think as long as the expectation is there and people aren't saying like, oh, this is not right, like he was only Sonic. I mean, the reality is, till this day, majority of the liquidity and like all of DeFi is on Ethereum.
So, well, and yeah, and that's how I explained it as well. Is that, to generate the best yield, you're going to have to find the sources that have the best liquidity, the best yield, everything else. And it's like the system actually would not function properly if you were having to farm stuff like wrapped Ethereum or wrapped Bitcoin, or you know what I mean?
It's like a disservice to do that. I think, like, especially for the level of innovation. And it's not only Andre, by the way. Like, there are certain applications that are, building on Sonic that are launching soon or that have launched where, they'll say like, hey, is it okay if we also launch our product on Ethereum or whatever? It's like, we don't really care. I mean, maybe if it's a direct competitor chain, we want to try and retain them for some level of exclusivity on Sonic. But for the most part, I feel like it's probably like insensitive to then tell a team like, no, 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 no. You've been working on this for the past 2 years. You can only deploy it on Sonic, and you can't even touch Ethereum. Ethereum is like, I think it's neutral, and I think it's fair if people want to tap into Ethereum. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I that's like my first intro to DeFi is on Ethereum. I do a lot of farming on Ethereum still. Most people farm a lot of stable coins on Ethereum. It's like the most popular for stable coins, even though it's not like the super fastest chain. People just feel really confident in it. So when people say that they want to launch something on Ethereum, or there's other great networks out there, right? I think like part of working for a chain or working with a chain is also to admit like what other chains are really good, right? And I think that I'll just give one example. Like I think Avalanche is a great chain. Like I really do. I think they've sustained like a massive amount of institutional interest. They have a massive amount of community like camaraderie. It's great. People really stick by Avalanche for years, and they have long-term investors. Like I don't think you need to talk down every competitor, but I think that, if you want to, if somebody wants to launch an application and go to a chain that has like liquidity, they should go where they can make the most money, right? Like, yeah, there's features on Sonic where we have gas monetization, fee subsidies, and all this stuff. But like, if they want to have a really big depth for a stablecoin, like they should definitely tap into the liquidity on Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. Well, also definitely for the Flying Tulip product, which is so heavily dependent on the revenue generation of its yield farming strategies, it just literally like he would be hamstringing his project unnecessarily for it not to be cross chain, right? Like it's essentially like it's awesome that it's chain agnostic because that means like I'm essentially benefiting from the best yield anywhere if I use the product.
I think it's also good that you have what ends up happening is that you end up having like a diverse community rather than forming like if you form like a cult on one chain, right? Then you're basically tied to everything on that chain. But if you're able to build like a cult based on the product and the product is on a few chains, like I think that that's really great for the product long term because then you have so many different like geographical areas. Like, I don't know, just saying like, let's say you're like deploying something on BNB chain, like you're going to have a large amount of Asian users. Like it's just a fact, right? If you're deploying on Ethereum, you're going to have people who probably have more money. Like there's a massive amount of whales so that you can kind of hit that larger number. If you're deploying on a more inexpensive chain like Sonic, like the gas prices are much cheaper. And there's a lot of different reasons for deploying on different chains. I think that that's for sure. Maybe in the future, once all the chains become like very, very cheap, then it all kind of becomes similar. But yeah, I can't blame anyone. Look, like I said, if Andre wants to deploy on multiple chains, I think that's awesome. I think that if any other application that's deploying on Sonic says, like, hey, we want to deploy on this other chain and we want to have our token native on Sonic, that's cool. Like, I don't think we're in a position to tell anyone, like, hey, don't follow the liquidity.
Yeah.
Now, can we talk a little bit about the quiz, dude? Is that real? When is it going to go up?
I don't know. Quiz. I think that should set the precedent for a lot of things. You need to have quizzes. Like you need a quiz to log on Twitter every day. You know what I mean? I think Elon needs to make a feature.
I'm excited to hear more from Mitchell. Maybe that's what Sonic's going to pivot into, dude.
Yeah, so we can talk about Mitchell. Actually, everyone's just getting back from Singapore. It's like a really long trip, and you know it yourself. Like the trip is long, and then the jet lag is even worse. So like even when you get home, you're kind of out of commission for a few days and just like have a horrible sleep schedule. But I think that the plan right now is kind of resync to touch base with everyone after Singapore, and then bring Mitchell S up to speed with stuff. Like it's just onboarded a few weeks ago, so we're constantly bringing him up to speed on a lot of things, getting him involved in conversations, introducing him to existing partners, existing applications, people that we do business with. And yeah, I'm like, once that is kind of all out of the way and he's brought up to speed, I think it will take a couple of weeks, or maybe he's really fast, so maybe a couple of days. And then yeah, like he's more than happy to get on GNSONIC. He's more than happy to get on any type of interview or He's going to be on he's going to be on a pretty big crypto podcast thing, I think next week. There's a lot of opportunities. People want to talk to him. People want to hear about what his plans are for Sonic. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
And, we're here to help.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm so totally excited to get him back on too.
Yeah, it's a different,
also-
it's going to be interesting combo. It's a different light now.
Oh yeah, definitely, dude. I got a lot more questions for him. The only thing, I mean, like you said, we can't expect everything to change all at once, or him to like I said, there's a little transitionary period, right? You got to familiarize yourself with the business, existing clients, all that sort of thing.
Oh, there's so much stuff. So much stuff.
So like the one thing though that he has announced in terms of like new initiatives, I suppose, would be like these hires. I just want to highlight, head of BD and partnerships, head of global communications, CMO, head of digital marketing and community. Check them out, guys. If you know any executive leaders out there, if you're an executive,
we've done a lot of applications and stuff, and I'm excited for it. I think that these are things that we've needed for a while. And one of the more important things when hiring these roles is being able to filter out the talent. And I think that Mitchell has a really good eye for that, and he has a lot of experience in terms of like the corporate side. So again, the people on our team, the existing team, we're helping however we can, and we're along for the ride. And we really like the direction, and I think that the team is becoming stronger. I think that we have the ability to really focus on things and slow down the pace a little bit. I think it's been a hectic years, since multi-chain and stuff, and kind of just realign everyone. And yeah, I think internally everyone is very, very, very optimistic on the entire change. So yeah.
Right on, dude. I totally feel I think everyone else out on the outside is also quite optimistic, because it does seem like a much needed kind of breath of fresh air, and
Yeah.
kind of like a total pivot point. I mean, we already had the pivot from Phantom to Sonic, like a rebranding, relaunch, but it also seems like a good time to kind of continue that change energy, right? Like moving forward. So
yeah, I think it's really beneficial, honestly. And I think that, again, like I don't always want to give credit to Mike. Like Mike has been, I did a tweet about this. Like Mike has been with Phantom Sonic. It's like been a roller coaster for all these years, and I think Mike is very focused on the multi-chain recovery. And I think that it's a lot of work and it's expensive, right? I think people don't understand this, is that there's no the fact that the foundation is paying for all the legal for the multi-chain thing. It's incredible. Like there's many chains that they would not do that. They would basically just throw their hands up in the air and be like, well, you're the one who decided to use that bridge, better luck next time. But in this case, Mike is really championing it. And it makes me pretty happy to be to work with someone who's so passionate about wanting to get recovery of funds. It's very rare. So I think Mike has really strong inclination for legal work, and he has a passion for it. So I think he's going to dedicate a bunch of time to focusing on the multi-chain case and trying to get recovery for all the users. And I think, if you woke up tomorrow and you saw, I'm just saying, putting it out there, Sonic's able to recover funds and things go really well, I think that there's nothing bad that can come from that. That's just only good. And it will just make people feel even more confident about the team and more confident about Sonic. And not to say it's a dark cloud that kind of lingers over us, but I mean, it definitely is something that, there's two ways to go about it. There's one way, which is you turn a cold shoulder and you just say better off next time. It's not our problem. Or you do exactly what Mike has been dedicating a lot of time to with Andre, which is let's, go through with this to the fullest extent of the law and put a bunch of our financial resources into it and at least give a stab at it, So I give Mike a lot of credit for that. It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially, I mean, the nature of it, where the jurisdiction is, and the nature of the parties involved also
There's so many, man.
So big kudos to them for fighting, especially because if you guys think about it, he's fighting for everyone who suffered from multi-chain, right? There's really not a whole lot of upside otherwise. And I think you're right. I think that rightfully so, Michael is really focused on that, and with Andre and But I think, like you're saying, there's two approaches to it, right? We're just like, we go back and we address this wrong and get it fixed, or we like turn our cold shoulder and we just march forward, right? So I think that a lot of people are conflicted because they, some people just want to move forward. What's next? What's happening? A lot of people don't want to think about the past anymore. And there are some people that, they would be pleasantly surprised to get their multi-chain funds back, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's also the users that weren't here. There's
mhm.
users who weren't here during that time, and they didn't have any exposure to that, so they tend to just I mean, I wouldn't care, right? Like if you just came to the chain and like this happened like 2 years ago, you would be like, whatever, I don't care. Like I'm focused on now. But the reality is that there are people who are hurt by it, and it's a very noble effort to want to I could very easily say like Mike has a passion for wanting to make to wrong rights. Like
Mhm.
he's very serious about that, and I know, and he's very persistent. So he keeps up on these things like very frequently, it's like a weekly basis. As always, there's more information, you know,
But I think
internally.
bringing Mitchell on and expanding the team, I think the big advantage is we get to have our cake and eat it too. Then at that point,
Yeah,
right?
like let Mitchell focus on these things. Let Mike focus on his things. Let Andre focus on like being the visionary of the tech for the chain. I think it's perfect for us, and I think that, like you mentioned, like that hiring more people. Like Sonic and Phantom has always been a small team. Maybe that's some of the weak points. Maybe we just need to have a larger team. People work very hard on the team, so I
I mean, a lot of people bring up that you got, like someone mentioned, you guys have hundreds of people on the team, but like we're talking mostly like engineers. And the biz side, there's really not as many people.
yes, correct. I mean, the tech is not like there's a reason why no one can have a chain that's as fast as Sonic. Like I
Mhm.
think there's a lot that goes into it, and also security side. Like there's a ton of security, um, like security and testing, and like there's teams that do testing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but on like on the front of house side, I mean, like we have a smaller team, but I think that Mitchell kind of identifying and saying, hey, like we need to fill in some of these gaps here. I think it will make the team better. Not even because you're bringing in new people necessarily, but also because you're just distributing some of the workload,
Mhm.
and people will be all around like more focused on their day-to-day tasks rather than trying to fill in some of the voids that they would usually be filling in.
One of the things I've kind of talked to people about this, like it's like the shift from like a startup to like
Yeah, yeah,
corporate.
yeah, yeah. Yes,
Like
I agree.
early on, you want a small team, everyone wearing lots of hats, but very quickly, as you scale and as you've grown, as Sonic has, right, like it becomes a need, right? And sometimes there's difficulty in shifting from that mindset, right, to like hire new people, right? Like if I've been running marketing for 4 years, but I'm also the CEO or whatever, that's not like a really sustainable role, right?
I
We're
also think
gonna,
that if you have a team that is very passionate and that is willing to like pitch in
Mhm.
where needed, sometimes it helps fill in the void. And it's like, oh, like we don't need this. Like we have these guys are, and it gets a little bit, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
The wolf. Mike. I think Mike gets a lot of hate for stuff, but I think that Mike's a great guy, and
Yeah.
he's like I said, like he's like that emoji of like the roller coaster, like he's been riding the roller coaster of like up and down over the years and hasn't faded. You see
Mhm.
some founders or some CEOs, like there's like one issue and they just like vanish. They don't even
Mhm.
get fired. They just leave.
Yeah.
It's
That
very
is just
easy to just leave, but yeah, I think that I give Mike as much credit as possible. I think that he's done a great job, and this is like perfectly okay to say like, hey, we even want to level things up. We're gonna grow the team, and that's good. I mean, growing the team, I think it's long overdue. So I'm
yeah,
excited for it.
long overdue.
As a team member and as an S token holder, by the way.
Yeah, it's an important distinction to make. It's both sides winning
I
here.
can promise you every team member is an S token holder, by the way. I think some people get this like misconception that like you don't care about the token. It's like we definitely care about the token. We're S token holders just like everybody else.
Mhm. Yeah, look, we're all in the same boat here, guys. We all want this thing to pump, and we're gonna make it happen. We're all gonna contribute in our own ways, to make it happen. I think. What do you think, assistant?
I think it's good. I think we'll probably do some more. We'll do another event for the year. Like
Mhm.
not a summit, but we'll be at I'm hoping that it's like DevCon Argentina. So I think you'd fit in perfectly.
That'd be tight, dude. I've always wanted to go to Argentina.
Me too. I
Argentina
think that
is
Argentina is. We're talking with Red Dot Pay. I think Red Dot Pay wants to do something with us, and Red Dot Pay. I mean, if anyone has a Red Dot Pay app who's like listening to this, you can literally. And we haven't highlighted it much because it's new and it just got rolled out. But I will start to get the team. I'll start to chat with the team about some content with the Red Dot Pay team, aligning on some content. But essentially, the Red Dot Pay card is a debit card, right? Like you fund it with USDT or S or USDC. But they have a new feature where you can take out a loan inside, so you can have a line of credit.
Oh,
Very cool.
yeah, that's pretty sick. A loan against crypto assets.
You can take out a loan against S right now.
Now that's intriguing. And you know what Sam said in Singapore? He said he was living off of Red Dot Pay.
He is.
And that was crazy when he said that. I was like, so it's like this international dude, it's just as good as like a Visa or whatever.
I
That's
mean,
pretty
Red
awesome.
Dot Pay, just to give some insight, like Red Dot Pay, when we got involved with them, they had no money raised. They raised like $2 million. But since we got involved with them, they've raised $100 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
guys were early.
pretty serious. They do $10 million in volume per day. It's a lot.
Guys, let's all get on Red Dot Pay. Let's all start paying
It's
for
coming
our,
to the US soon, so you'll be able to do it if you are in the US. They told me that by the end of the year, they should have the ability to issue US Visa cards.
bro. We're so cucked here in the States, dude.
Oh, we're just
Red Dot Pay. Can't
we're
use
just
high. What can
a
I
little
do?
bit behind with the times. It's funny. I was having a conversation with my friend today about this. I said, like, if you look back, like even 5 years ago, like it was the most taboo thing ever to have crypto on a card. Like it was impossible. And people were like, you can't crypto on a card, and like there's no way it won't ever work on Apple Pay. Like, but now like there's been this policy shift, and like I feel like when I was in Singapore, I don't know about you, but I saw so many crypto card providers. It's like they all have crypto cards. They all have Apple Pay, Android Pay. They have physical cards. Like that's changed so quickly. So yeah, but the Red Dot Pay did tell me that Sonic is the absolute cheapest for them to operate as a company. They told me that, I don't want to say exactly what network, but they said that they spend like 6 figures on a different network in terms of overhead just for gas fees
My God.
per month.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like insane, like they're but then they're like, we want to work more with you guys. They said using Sonic for our team is fantastic. Like we spend no money on gas and we're able to have like the same functionality as any of the larger chains. It's actually their preference is for users to use Sonic because they make more money as a company.
I smell an opportunity here.
Yeah. We're having conversations. It takes time to do these things,
Mhm.
Having Sonic on Red Dot Pay is great. I think if you go to Red Dot Pay, there's many networks that they don't support. They maybe support like Ethereum, Tron, Solana, BNB, and Sonic, and maybe Polygon, but that's it.
Yeah. We got to get this team on. I think we met someone. I think I actually met someone from the Red Dot Pay team, dude.
I can get someone on here if you want. I'll make the introduction. They're very pragmatic.
Yeah, we'll arrange this. We got to chat with them. But, we're kind of pulling, it's got to be like around midnight where you are, right? We're doing a midnight stream right now.
Currently, yes. But you know what? I'm jet lagged. So for me, it's noon.
I feel you, dude. Well, I was gonna wrap this bad boy anyway, since we lost track.
Yeah, of course, he dropped off.
Late.
Real bad.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Assistant. It was a really great conversation, man. Coming back on Friday. So feel free to come around, and chat with us again. And I want to thank everyone out there watching for accompanying us on this journey. I think it was a great episode, dude. I feel don't let the people saying that it's going to be the end of the world tomorrow freak you out, guys. I think we still got some juice left in the tank. And things on Sonic are looking better than ever. So even if the whole other market tanks, I think we're going to be okay, guys.
Hey, I will say that I did see BTC pull back from 125,000 to 120,500, and Sonic didn't move at all. It was nice to see.
I saw that, dude.
There's a lot of confidence coming into the market. I think people are really optimistic on like the new direction that we're going, and like I said, the team is on board. Myself and everyone else on the team, we're in full support of the new direction, and we're here to be what's it called? We're here to be of assistance to Mitchell and however he needs. No pun intended.
You're here to be the assistant. Hell yeah, brother. I want to thank you all for watching so late in the evening on this GNSONIC. And yeah, that's right, Gabby. This is live right now for now, but it's about to end. So catch us on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, boost it. It really does help with our discoverability. Let's get more people in here. Let's spread the gospel of GNSONIC. And yeah, we'll catch y'all later. And I'll come back to this question next time. Peace, guys.
Arrivederci.
GNSONIC is Corval, Drac, and Mew Mew.